Are we live? Is this thing on? Are you there? Hey, good morning. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police constable with the Toronto Police Service. And this, what you're looking at right now, is called Ask a Traffic Cop. Guess what happens here? That's right. We answer your traffic and police questions. I knew you knew, but I figured that's the way I wanted to present it this morning because I'm feeling like I'm in that kind of mood, and I've already had one coffee, and I'm about to have another one. I've got my Nespresso machine working overtime today. This is coffee number 2. It's a Mexican coffee. I don't know if that doesn't say more than Mexican. Like it just says Mexican on it. So that's happening right now. If you're watching us and you don't know how to communicate with us, let me fill you in. You can use the Q&A feature on Instagram Live. You can use the chat function on TikTok because guess what, folks? Q&A is still broken. It's been like since I went away on vacation in May. Not that I'm bitter. Okay, maybe a little bitter. They're really messing with our flow. And then if you're watching on YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, you can just use the comments feature there. It'll show up in our nice aggregated feed that comes in courtesy of Restraint, a magical group of people who give us the ability to share with you in a different way. Good morning, Leo wife. My wife is watching. How you doing? One of the rare opportunities to watch without children bouncing around. Good morning, Sean Chen. Sean spent the weekend with us at Molson Indy. It's 100 years since it was called Molson Indy, a Honda Indy. And good morning to you, Sean. I got to go through those photos that you sent me. Took some great photos that we're going to use for our Vision Zero enforcement team adverts, the dailies. We're going to use some of his photos. And we already used one of his photos. He's a very talented photographer. And in Vision Zero Youth Network ambassador. So, good guy. He handed out a lot of stickers to kids. We have junior officer stickers, and he was the king of the sticker. Okay. Since we mentioned Vision Zero Enforcement Team, let's talk about it. Today, we have folks in 13 Division and 53 Division. That means Yorkdale, Glen Park, Briar Hill, Witchwood, Oakwood Vaughan, Yonge and Eglinton, Rosedale, Leaside. Those neighborhoods. Those are neighborhoods that currently have officers are normally deployed, and today currently we have additional officers, part of the Vision Zero Enforcement Team, that are out there to change driver behavior one ticket at a time. No hugs are given, it's tickets. So if you don't want to get a ticket, then follow the law. Don't put lives at risk by making poor decisions behind the wheel, because that's what it is. It is a serious thing. What kind of offenses are putting lives at risk? I'm glad you asked. Thank you for asking. It is specifically speeding, aggressive driving, distracted driving, and impaired driving. Now, those are big labels, right? So there are obviously a lot of charges that make up aggressive driving. And anything that is something you shouldn't be doing, don't do it, because the life you save might be your own. I've always wanted to say that in that particular way. I may have actually said it before. Okay. Leo Wife loves the junior officer stickers. Leo Wife, you facilitated making those. I put together the graphics. You sent it to the right people. Bingo bango. We have, are they reflective? They're mirror finished. They actually look like metal. That other police service that was handing out little junior officer badges were very tiny. Ours are bigger and ours are reflective. So I'm not, Carrie, I'm not calling you out for your stickers, but I'm kind of calling you out for your stickers. Okay, let's get into chrome finish. Q coming in from Twitch says chrome finish. Yes, I think that's right. It is still reflective. It reflects. It's not like super reflective like the stuff that that spray you can put on your clothing and your bicycle. Have you seen that? Has anyone seen that? I think it's really cool. I want to spray everything in reflective. I wonder how much that stuff costs. Good coffee. All right. So something else to pitch. If you want an opportunity to ask questions, but you're frustrated by the fact that we have 323 people in the room right now on TikTok, but you may not be getting your questions answered. Well, I haven't even started looking, but I will be looking in the chat now, and I have some help. Q is sending me texts here with questions. But if you are in our Volley group, Volley, it's an amazing app. I love it. I'm using it all the time with my friends, family, and of course within the community we've created just for traffic services viewers. So if you want to join that, go to trafficcop.ca. That will allow you to send me messages, and guess what? You get priority when you are in the Volley space. Now, right now we're a small group, 30 members, which means you got a lot of priority. Hey, look at this. There's a question that just came in through Volley. Can I get in trouble for going 1 over the speed limit? Technically, yes. Speeding occurs at any speed over the speed limit. The amount over the speed limit that you go actually just translates into the number of points and the dollar that you would pay, the dollar amount for your ticket. But it's still speeding, even at 1 over. Now, are we pulling people over for 1 over? No, we're really not. But you need to know that technically you're breaking the law. And a lot of people operate in this world of, well, yeah, I know I'm breaking the law, but the police won't stop me, so it's okay. No, it's not okay. You're still breaking the law. You shouldn't be doing it. And just because we don't enforce 1 kilometer an hour over doesn't make it the new speed limit. Now, obviously, people do far more than that. People choose to speed well above the speed limit. And for every 5 kilometers over the speed limit, you double your chances of becoming involved in a collision, statistically. Don't speed. We want you to be safe. We want everyone using the road to be safe. And I'll get off my soapbox about speeding, but we'll come back to it later because I like standing on my soapbox. Okay, what do we got here? Greetings and salutations. Akela Dracon is coming in from YouTube. I haven't seen you in a while. Mike Quinn, I haven't seen you in a while. Coming in from LinkedIn. Good morning. How are you? Okay, so my wife is just giving me some credit. She says that a little known fact that I designed the little stickers, the junior officer stickers. It wasn't really, I didn't make the crest. I just made it, ready for sticker production. I need a new sticker. I need a voiceover cop sticker. Good morning, Rob Baker coming in from YouTube. How art thou? Long time no see. It seems like this is suddenly turning into a reunion. All right, let me scroll up here and start with some questions that are coming in. But again, you want to skip the line, get a question in, make sure you're at trafficcop.ca and get the Volley app. You can use your iPhone, your Android. You can use your iPad. There's a version for that. You can use a web-based client on your Mac or PC. It's just awesome. I think they actually have native apps too. All right, let's get into stuff. License recall, trolleys? Who wants to know about trolleys? Okay. Let's go into what's the minimum speed limit on the 401. There's no posted minimum on the 401. If there's a sign posted, then there's actually a minimum, and there's no minimum posted on the 401. Obviously, you can get charged for unnecessary slow driving if you are preventing traffic from flowing because you're just driving for no reason. If there's a reason, inclement weather, something on the road, some reason to be going slower, you can be going slower. Limits are limits, not minimums. So there's no posted minimum, but if you were driving, like, say, 40 on the highway, I imagine you'd be pulled over because you'd be blocking, interfering with traffic. Laws on dirt bikes on the road. Very simply put, dirt bikes are not permitted. Period. That's it. End of TED Talk. You can't ride a dirt bike on the road. We're talking about a motorcycle dirt bike. Dirt bike, when you talk about BMX bike's a bicycle. Different story. So dirt bikes can't be on the road. ATVs, four-wheelers, can be in certain jurisdictions. Toronto is not one of them. You can ride them on the road if they are plated, licensed, and you, in fact, have a license to operate them. And then in certain jurisdictions, again, not Toronto, you can use them on the side, the shoulder, up to a certain speed, and it's all regulated. You need to know before you go. For the community that you are riding in. Let me fix this wire that looks like it's off. How does the audio sound on Instagram, folks? Does it sound okay? It sounds good? You're good? Okay, just checking in on you. And no, since nobody's used the Q&A feature here today, you do have the Q&A feature on Instagram Live. If you ask the question, we'll see it pop up. We'll put it on screen. We'll answer it. Okay. Can I ride? Oh, wait. I almost skipped one. How long do you have to register a used car after you buy date? You have 6 days to transfer ownership. 6 days and only 6 days. And that goes for a number of things like changing your address, transferring ownership, changing the color, notifying the change of a color on a vehicle. 6 days. That's a standard thing. Now, additionally, you've got, the ability to drive it home using your unattached plates. If you had plates that were on a previous car that you still own, but they're not attached to that car anymore on paper and physically, then you can use those plates for 6 days. Like, you see the 6 days? Carrying it through. Can I ride my 49cc pocket bike on the back roads? No. 49cc pocket bike is not street legal, cannot be used on the back roads. Private property only for those things. Those are dangerous. They were really popular for a period of time, and people were breaking the law left, right, and center. They are, in fact, illegal for the road. Riley says, this guy's got 4 streams going on. Yeah, we've got this being broadcast actually in 8 different places. In addition to the 8 places that we're going through Restream, we are also on Instagram and TikTok. So, 8 streams, not 4, but 4 that you saw so far. We like to make sure we're hitting all the locations. All right. Can I drive my car with no fenders? I have a fender liner. All lights still work, only for a few days. fender liner. So here's the deal: if you're saying that you have no fenders, no covering on your wheels, that would make it illegal. It would make it unsafe. So yeah, you can't do that. It would be unsafe. If you're saying that the liners are in place, it's just the covering. That might meet their qualifications. I don't want to say yes because I don't want to give you permission to do something that you can't do. I would say don't operate your motor vehicle if it's not safe for the road. Consult your mechanic. If he would safety it that way and is willing to put his license on the line for you, then you have somebody to talk to if you get in trouble. But I don't think you'd be safe. Those plastic fender guides are to keep the mud and stuff from flailing, moving, shooting. I don't know, but yeah, it doesn't sound like a good thing. And I'm only speculating as to what you're saying. Okay, Dennis15 says, "Is it okay to remove the sticker from my license plate?" So for anyone who's watching and doesn't already know, the province of Ontario has gone away with stickers or gotten away from the sticker business for most vehicles. There are some, and ATVs and snowmobiles and things like that, I believe, still have to have them. But if your vehicle's under 3,000 kilos, you should be okay to operate, and motorcycles, for instance, other vehicles that you're good to go with. You don't need stickers anymore. You do need to renew online. So if you go to the MTO online and try and renew and it says you got to buy one, well, guess what? You got to buy one. But for most people, you're going to find a message saying, how many years do you want your free renewal to be? I would suggest opting for the 2-year free renewal. Why would I go for one? By the way, for anyone who's new to the channel, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service. I am a traffic officer. This is traffic services that I'm sitting in, and I host this Ask a Traffic Cop Q&A Monday to Friday from 10 to 11, answering your traffic and police questions. Now, there won't be one on Friday. I say Monday to Friday, and I realize I'm taking Friday off because I got stuff to do. I have things that must be done, and I can't be doing the live. But of course, I will have a podcast playing in its place. So on Friday, you will still have entertainment, and I'm got a couple in the can. I think I know who I'm going to be showing you, so it's good stuff. TPS Traffic Jam is the podcast. You can listen to all the previous episodes anywhere that podcasts are available, where you like to have them, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, wherever you get your podcast, you can listen to this one. And you can also watch it live streamed over, let's see, where do we put it? It's going to be on our Twitter channels, our Facebook, our YouTube, our LinkedIn, all those places. And by the way, if I didn't mention this already, if you're watching on Twitter, my apologies. Twitter is great for watching, not great for communicating. It doesn't work with our restream right now. So what you need to do is, if you want to ask questions, is use trafficcop.ca. That will forward you. It's just a link to forward you to our volley space where you can become part of our community and ask us questions. Hey, I got a bunch of questions that came in. Let's go there. We got a volley that says hi. And Brad, is it Gillies? Sent a volley. Let's see what they got to say. Let's see us. Oh, no, it was deleted. Okay, 1 second. It was in the random. I think they were in the wrong folder. Hi, we got that. Okay. Oh, here's the question. Is there a limit to how bright of lights you're allowed to have at night, like using a light bar as a high beam allowed? Well, it's funny you say as a high beam. Oh, I don't know what that one was. Okay, it's funny what you say, high beam. So you're allowed to have a maximum of 4 lights that create more than 300 lumens of power forward facing. So if you have 4 projector bulbs, 2 being your headlights, 2 being your fog lights, and they're all on, that's the maximum you can have. Light bars that are designed for off-road use are not covered in that. You can't turn those on. They're not street legal. If you are off-road, then it's a different story. That doesn't apply because we're talking about the Highway Traffic Act in Ontario. So that big off-road bar, no, you can't use it. And could it be too bright? I think one of the bigger issues, aside from brightness, is going to be the fact that they can't be directed properly to prevent you from blinding oncoming traffic. You can't use it anyway. 150 meters? I think within 150 meters of either coming up to a vehicle or 170 meters. I keep forgetting the two because one is for following, one is for oncoming, and I frankly can't remember which one is which right now. I could look it up, but I'm not going to because we could all look it up. In any case, don't use the off-road ones on the road. That is the answer. Now, what is the last one here? Captions are auto-generated. I just got a black screen. So somebody sent me a black screen. No message conveyed. But I appreciate that you're trying to utilize the volley. I hope you're finding it interesting. I'll respond individually as well after the show. Let's see here. What do we got? Shout out from Dallas PD. What's going on, Dallas? Glad that you could join us. Is Dallas? Where's Dallas? Are we shouting out to Dallas? Or no, it's from Dallas. Right on. Okay. Riley C. wants to know, are you required to tell your insurance company when you take a job that requires a lot more driving day to day? So, yeah, insurance companies want to know how you're utilizing your vehicle. Now, you don't have to legally. There's no charge that police are going to lay if you didn't call and tell the insurance company something. However, if you don't tell them and they find out that you're driving twice the distance your mileage, because you get into a crash, they're going to look at your mileage. Well, if you're double what you said you were going to do, that's a problem. When it comes time to renewal, they're going to see that what your mileage is. And if it's not in the realm of what you said you're going to do, that's a problem. They could deny your claim. That's up to them. It's a private company in Ontario. It's not like everywhere's different, but in Ontario, it's a private company, or private companies run insurance policies. So they may have a big problem with you doing that. Now, if you drive Uber, if you're driving commercially for a commercial purpose, again, that's something you really want to tell them. You don't want to be in a situation where you don't have coverage. That's just not a good situation. No bueno. Okay. What is this? Okay, I think it's a two-part question. Legal to turn right on red. Is it legal to drive through a red at a three-way stop on a no road? Oh, okay. So the question is it legal to turn right? Because it's legal to turn right on red, is it also legal to drive through a red at a three-way stop and no road on right? No, you cannot drive through. So I see where you're going with this, because there's nowhere to go right, so can I go straight through? No, you cannot. Right on red is only when safe to do so. It requires a turn, not a straight through. But it's a good question. I can see the logic there. So, yeah. So the follow-up question was, what's the difference? So the difference is one is going straight and one is not. Red light means you can't go through. If you were to go through a red light after coming through a stop, other than to turn right when safe to do so, you could be charged for proceed before green. So there's a specific charge for that. Even if there were emergency services with lights flashing behind you, you cannot proceed through. The only people who can go through are specifically police, fire, ambulance, after making a complete stop while having their full emergency equipment on. And there's even more conditions for certain people, like police don't have the additional conditions, but fire and ambulance do. What do I do if I find out the buyer hasn't changed ownership after 6 days? First of all, if you're buying or selling a motor vehicle in the province of Ontario, I would seriously suggest that you do all transactions on site at the MTO. Go in with that person, make sure that the person you're selling it to changes the ownership, and you know it happened. You can also file notification that you've done it. But I've investigated collisions where the vehicle that was abandoned after a collision was never transferred to the new owner. So what happens is the vehicle was impounded, and then the previous owner got like a $10,000 bill for storage. Maybe it was $5,000. I forgot when it was, but it's old. However, a lot of money. So they called frantically going, I sold this car like 2 years ago, and here's the guy's name, and here's the bill of sale. Well, just because you said it doesn't mean anything. You have to make sure that it was done, and the onus is on the owner until the new owner is registered. So bad day at the office for you if you have that situation. So we want to know what to do. Well, go notify the Ministry of Transportation, show them a copy of the bill of sale, and start the process to make sure you're removed as the owner. But that's a sticky situation. All right, I need water, or at least I need coffee. I need something that will count as hydration of some kind. Riley C says, cool, thanks. You're very welcome. Okay, let's go here. Let's scroll back. I got some questions in the queue from the queue. Q made a Q question. Okay, I'm going to stop saying Q. Q tip? No, I don't know. You should have Q tips. She's a gamer. She can give you tips, and they're Q tips of Q. Anyway, okay. Can we eat and drink while driving in Ontario? So if you're participating or partaking in an activity like eating or drinking legal substances, I have to say that, but legal substances, as long as it's not negatively impacting your ability to operate your vehicle safely, it shouldn't be a problem. If you're all over the road, it's careless driving. It doesn't matter what you're doing. If you're all over the road, if you're not able to safely operate your vehicle, you run the risk of being charged for something because you're doing something. Just the act of putting food in your mouth and chewing, not illegal in Ontario. However, we're told that in other places, for instance, like British Columbia, apparently that's distracted driving. I've not confirmed that, but that's what our audience has been telling us. But you know who you could talk to about that to get that confirmation? That would be our friends in Brooks, Alberta. They're safe communities on TikTok. They got a whole bunch of people that follow them, and they go live all the time. So if you're in Alberta, you want to know things, they're the people to talk to. I was talking to Logan by way of messaging on the DMs. He is I think he's a sheriff. Logan, if you're watching, are you a sheriff? I think he's a sheriff. He's got a cowboy hat. It's awesome. I want a hat. Logan, I want your hat. Just saying. It's a cool hat. I would wear a Stetson. I think I could rock a Stetson. Yeah. I'm not really a baseball cap person. We went from the forge cap. Hang on a second, I'll show you. This is our, putting it over my headphones. This is our, hang on. This is our formal attire, and this was what we wore every day for ever. And then we went baseball cap for a minute, and then we got rid of baseball caps and went back to the forge cap, and then we are now back at baseball caps. But I actually like that. I've been wearing it for 22 years. I'm used to it. Now, if we actually were to go to a Stetson, even if it was optional, I'd rock a Stetson. Okay. For anyone watching on YouTube, or sorry, let me rephrase. For anyone who's not watching right now on Instagram or TikTok, you are seeing an invitation run across the screen, one saying get Volley app by going to trafficcop.ca, and the second one talks about harleyraffle.ca. That is a website where you can go to buy tickets to possibly win a Harley Davidson. The monies, the proceeds, the whole reason for the raffle is to allow you to support Special Olympics Ontario. Yes, we are helping them. It's their raffle. We're talking about it, and we also trailer that motorcycle all over the place, showing it off because it's beautiful, and you'd be supporting a good cause. There you go. Logan's a special constable. Is it just special constable? I thought he was a sheriff. He may have. Oh, okay. Maybe I'm making stuff up. He's not a sheriff? All right. Because the hat makes me want to say sheriff. I've told him he has to come onto the show. We need him on the show. I don't think we've spoken. I've spoken on his show. I've spoken to him, but I've never had him really on the live stream. All right. Let's. Okay. Apparently he's made commitments with his hat. Oh my. So we talked about eating and drinking and driving and things. Loud, exhausted, muffler, delete, stay on record for 3 years as well. Is that a question? So if you get charged as the driver of a motor vehicle for not having a muffler, for creating unnecessary noise, the charge is against you, not the vehicle. And yes, that would remain on your license for 3 years from the date of conviction. Any points associated with them, I don't think there are points for those. If there were points on a ticket, they last from 2 years from the date of offense. A little different, just to be totally confusing. Someone wants to know if I am related to Ben Shapiro. No, I'm the real Shapiro. I'm not, no, we're both Shapiros. Apparently, like Shapiro's the Jewish Smith. So there's lots of Shapiros. I just don't know any of them. But I do know, well, I know of Ben. I don't know Ben. But he talks about different things on the internet. He's the politics guy, and I'm the traffic guy. What is this? Do officers work 12-hour shift or only 8 hours per day? I work 8 hours per day. I still have a 40-hour work week. Other police officers work 12 hours, and that usually computes into a 40-hour-ish work week as well. But it's shift work. So our officers, we have 7 on, 7 off schedules. We have 5 on, 6. I don't even know what they have. I used to work in 8 and 6. There's so many different shift schedules depending on what area of policing you are working in and what service you're working in. So where I work Monday to Friday, 8 hours a day. Others work 12 hours. So it depends on where you're working and what shift you're on. Any jobs in the police service? What is the best education pathway? So for most of the jobs, there is a grade 12 minimum requirement. However, it's a competitive process. So if you only have grade 12, you may find that more is better when you're competing against people who have their master's degree. At the end of the day, you may have life experience that gives you a better chance of being hired. So I can't tell you that one path is better than another. People take police foundations, people take accounting, people take all sorts of different things. And whatever you have makes you unique and valuable. So my suggestion is if you would like to become a police officer with the Toronto Police or any police service, make yourself the best candidate you can be. Take the courses that you love and enjoy and what you excel in, because if you hate what you do, you're not going to do very well, is my opinion. So do something you like. Now, you also need to know that volunteerism is a huge thing. If you want to become a police officer, want to work in helping people, show that you're committed to helping people. So volunteerism is huge. If you show up and you've never volunteered and you don't show that connection, you don't have to do something you don't want. You don't have to pick up dirty diapers. You could be someone who volunteers at a rec center. You could volunteer in any capacity with your church, with your community, but show some volunteerism. And if you want more information about what we're currently hiring for, you should be checking out tps.ca/careers, information on becoming a police officer, special constable, parking enforcement officer, even as an auxiliary. Guess what? We have volunteer opportunities with the Toronto Police Service. And right now, we are hiring or preparing to hire for auxiliary constables. Little known fact. Well, actually, maybe it's pretty known because I talk about it all the time. I was an auxiliary officer. I started with the service in 2000. I applied in 99, mind you. There was a hiring freeze. I became an auxiliary constable. That is a volunteer position, uniformed, however, no firearm. And you don't get police powers for arrest, but you do get some training and you get an opportunity to wear that uniform out to major events and help the community. Fantastic volunteer opportunity if you've never tried it. Very loud dolly wandering through the halls, if you were wondering what that noise was. Now, when you talk about special constables, I was a court officer while I was a volunteer as an auxiliary, so that's another opportunity. You don't have to be a police officer. That's not the only opportunity to work, and we have parking enforcement officers. Again, tps.ca/careers for all the information. If you have more questions, DM me or ask in the comments. We'll talk. What do we got here? Oh, and there's also all sorts of non-uniform, completely like IT people, mechanics, lots of different jobs. Okay, moving on. Is there community police liaisons with the public to ask questions on other subjects? So there are community, I honestly don't know what level of engagement there is on social media. There are town hall meetings. There's different opportunities. We have officers embedded within the community, neighborhood officers. There's always opportunities. My suggestion would be call your local police division if you have questions about that to see how to best engage on other topics. I'm the traffic guy, but other stuff, there's obviously ways to connect. I just don't have the information on what's available. And now I want to know because you've raised a good question. Do speed radars that give tickets need to be marked like red light cameras? So you were talking about the automated speed enforcement cameras. Yes, they need to have a sign in advance saying that they are there. There's no secret squirrel stuff. We're not hiding. Well, we are, but the machines aren't. And there should be more of them. I think there should be a lot more. Yeah, I don't know if anyone agrees with me, but I think there should be. And on my drive to work, I pass a couple of them, and even me, just seeing that sign go, oh my God, am I doing the right speed? I am, because I don't speed, but I automatically have that response. It's instant, and it's good, because it makes you wake up and say, are you doing the right thing? And you should be. Am I able to lane split on a motorcycle? Very common question. I was talking about this a lot over the weekend at Honda Indy. And the answer is no, lane splitting is not permitted. It can be considered one of two things. Well, it could be a myriad of options, but more often than not, it would be careless driving or in some cases, stunt driving. It's not safe. There are areas in the world where it's legal. It is not legal here. It was something that was discussed, like lane filtering. It has not come to be. I don't think it will be. What's the penalty for driving on an expired temporary plate? Well, if it's expired, it's not a valid plate. Not driving with valid plates is $110. But more than that, your vehicle isn't safe. It hasn't been safetied, so there's additional charges there. I don't know offhand what the unsafe vehicle situation is. You probably have your plates seized. You probably have to get towed from there because you're driving an unsafe, unfit vehicle for the road. Don't do that. Is it okay to remove the sticker from my license plates? Yes. If you have renewed it or they are valid in Ontario plates specifically, you can remove them. They're not required. Now, if your vehicle is over 3,000 kilos and you do require plates, validation stickers still, because not every vehicle is covered under the new exemption or change, then you need to know what the rules are for your vehicle. Oh, yeah, that's good. I'm liking the Mexican one. I got the Mexican espresso. I like it. I like it a lot. I ordered 450 pods. There was a promotion, so I got 450 pods, and I'm doing I had some from, where's the other one from? I can't remember what. There's a lighter blend. I tried that one. I moved between the Mexican and this one, trying all the different flavors, and I try and keep the same flavor for one day. Think about it. Try and appreciate it, and really, it's coffee. At the end of the day, it's coffee. Someone can teach me more about coffee, but this one, is it a spicy coffee? Is it a darker coffee? A little bit stronger, but I'm not sophisticated enough in my coffee to really tell you the difference. No fruity notes, no nutty tones. I don't know. That sounds like I know something about coffee. It's not Tim Hortons, I can tell you that. Okay. Loud exhausted muffler, we covered that. If you pull someone over and they forgot their wallet, which their license is in, what happens? Very good question. We haven't talked about it recently. Kind of, sort of. Okay. If you're pulled over for license for anything, a police officer is going to make a demand, most likely, and they should be making a demand for license ownership and insurance. Ownership is your motor vehicle permit. Now, if you cannot provide those things, there is a $110 ticket for failing to surrender your license, a $110 ticket for failing to surrender your permit, and a $65 ticket for failing to surrender your insurance proof of insurance. No, a photo will not suffice. And yes, we can look it up and find out if you are licensed. But by not surrendering it for inspection, for reasonable inspection, you have committed the offense. Now, does an officer have to write you the ticket? No. They may employ discretion and not write you the ticket. Now, if you're being pulled over, you're probably being pulled over for another reason. So maybe that person gives you a ticket for speeding. Maybe they don't give you the ticket for not having your license. It really depends on the day, depends on the officer. Is it against the law? Yeah, it's against the law. You're guilty. Can you take it to court and show them proof that you have your license? Well, we already know you have a license. Otherwise, we would have charged you for driving without a license. So you see where I'm going? The offense is at that moment when you fail to surrender it, and a photo is not sufficient. A lot of people want to have that electronic version, not legal yet in Ontario. Stephen Bell, good morning. Coming in from YouTube, apologizing for being late. There's no late. Whenever you get here, you are welcome and appreciated. And we don't. Yeah, I mean, 34 minutes. No, actually, when did you send me that message? No, we're not keeping track. Okay. What happens if you get pulled over going to 200? Going to 200? Like you're on the way to 200? Like, I'm assuming you mean kilometers an hour? Well, because the fastest speed limit anywhere in Ontario is 110. That's stunt driving. Anything over 150 is stunt driving. Anything over 50 over a posted speed limit that is 80 or above is stunt driving. Anything that is 40 over a speed limit under 80 is stunt driving. But 200, you might be looking at criminal charges for dangerous driving. Certainly, I think so. Now, obviously, there's factors there. What risk to public were you creating at that moment? That would be edging up from simple stunt driving to criminal. But I think that you're worthy of criminal at 200 kilometers an hour. And all the joys that come with that. So you'd lose your vehicle because you're still going to get the stunt and the speeding. So you get multiple charges. Yeah, don't do 200. You got to be a real bonehead to go 200. We did get somebody doing 225 or 245. Now I've forgotten. I think it was 245. It's on my Instagram, VoiceOver Cop, and I think it was also on the traffic services because we co-post a bunch of stuff. And that was on the Honda Indy on Lakeshore. Guess what? That was an event that was sanctioned. Not only were there paramedics and all sorts of teams of people who could extract a driver from a wreck, there was a lot of infrastructure. There were police investigators on scene. There was a surgical suite with doctors and surgeons and all sorts of fancy pants people there just to make sure people survive. So when you're doing 200 kilometers an hour and there's an infrastructure and there's safety equipment and ambulances and that's different than doing the bonehead thing, which is doing it on roads, putting people at risk. I say bonehead because I'm trying to convey that I'm not impressed by people who do this, if in case there was any confusion. It's the nicest way I can say it. All right. Can we eat? We talked about that. What is this? Does 6 days count for a name change after you're married as well? Technically, it depends if you're assuming a name as of your spouse or if you're legally changing your name. I would say 6 days would apply, and this is me applying some critical thinking here. If your name is changed because you've assumed the surname of your spouse, is different than changing your birth name. Okay, so different things apply. Most people don't legally change their name; they just assume a name. If you assume the name, I don't think you have to change it legally on your ownership. If you have changed your name, then you should and must within 6 days. What about unsealed alcohol in the trunk of your car? You can transport unsealed alcohol in the trunk of your car. Obviously, you want to cover it and close it so it doesn't spill all over your trunk every time you go over a bump. But in terms of factory sealed, it can be stored anywhere in the vehicle. Once it's been sealed, it has to be out of reach of the driver. That also applies for any legally purchased marijuana through an approved supplier. I had to think about that. Is it legal for a cop to hide and pull over cars? Do police cars need to be visible to the driver? No, there's no obligation for us to hide in plain sight or be in plain sight. We are there to measure your speed or to conduct enforcement, and if you break the rules, you are responsible. This is not entrapment. You being sneaky about catching you is called doing our job. If you are breaking the law, you're breaking the law without our influence. If we were influencing it, like if we put up a sign saying, turn here, free donuts, and then you turn there illegally, we induced that change, that turn, or if we put up a road closed sign and said, turn that way, I'm grasping at straws here. If we made you do it, something you wouldn't have done otherwise, that's entrapment. But if you're doing it by choice because you just don't respect the law and we catch you doing it, if I think we should be in camouflage, hiding in the bushes. Why not? You should not break the law, especially when it puts lives at risk. There was a story that made the paper years ago where an officer was in plain clothes, old clothes. Basically, he was going up to cars looking for cell phone users. Now, he was in plain clothes, and he had a sign that said, if you can read this, you're about to get a ticket. Now, it was frowned upon, but I think totally legal. You could argue with me about it, but he was catching people breaking the law. And I thought it was genius. And I would volunteer to do that. I would go up to cars and be undercover like that. I think it's awesome. Don't touch your phone. Don't get a ticket. See, it's easy. But that's not being done anymore, I don't think. People were upset. Why? I don't know. What is this? Hi, will you certainly, in quotes, get a ticket if you drove 50 in a 30-kilometer-an-hour zone with a municipal speed camera installed? The time is past 8 p.m. at the time when schools are out on holidays. Okay. So the answer is you should be. Now, I don't know about where that is. If it's City of Toronto, they're 24/7, those cameras. And I can tell you that doing 20 over would get you a ticket if you were doing 20 over, because that's well over any threshold that I've heard, which I've heard is somewhere in the vicinity of 10 over. I don't know for certain. The answer is if you don't want to find out, don't speed. There's no time restriction. Other municipalities have different rules around theirs. It's city run, not police run, and every city municipality makes their own rules. Okay, Tracy Bell says, that was a friend of mine with the Ottawa Police doing the undercover business. Well, you should give that person a high five. I think they were awesome. Let's see. Truly, I think it's awesome. Okay, we got that. Can my husband renew his plates even though we just moved, or does he change the car's address first? I think you can do everything all at once, possibly, maybe, but contact the Ministry of Transportation. They'd be the right ones to ask for that. I don't know if it matters. Like, you could do one and then do the next. I don't think it matters. One won't change your ability to do the next thing. Okay. Real question: when you turn at a light, inside or outside lane, there's a right way right. Okay. So I think what you're saying is proper turns. So if you are in the curb lane, you must turn to the curb lane. That would be a proper turn. If you are turning lanes, okay. Lanes are counted from one being the centermost to however many lanes there are. So if it's 2 lanes, it's lane 1 in both directions. If it's 4 lanes in total, it's lane 1 closest to the middle, lane 2 to the outside. If there's 3 lanes, and so on and so forth. So if you are making a left-hand turn, you're in the left-hand turn lane, you must turn into lane 1. If you had 2 left-hand turn lanes, you would have one person turn to the innermost lane, turn to lane 1, and the next one over, turn to lane 2. That would be a proper turn. If you had someone go from lane 1 to lane 3, that would be an improper turn. It would be dangerous, and for that reason, improper, unsafe, and so on. So I think that's what you're asking. Same thing for right-hand turns. If you're curb to curb, so 3 curb lane to curb lane, 3 to 3, 2 to 2, so on and so forth. I hope that makes sense. Oh, Tracy has a pic. Send me that pic. I want to see the pic. Okay. What do we have here? Is it considered speeding if I follow the flow of traffic? If the flow of traffic is speeding, you are speeding and responsible for what you're doing. There is no law or exemption for pack mentality. There's no this whole concept of flow of traffic is a safety concept that is taught in driving school and does not apply to anything above the posted speed limit. You are not allowed to exceed the speed limit. Speed limits are limits, and they're for everybody except the police, fire, and ambulance when they are legally permitted to do so. So if the flow of traffic is doing stupid things, and it goes with that whole concept. My mom used to say, if your friends jumped off the CN Tower, would you do it too? It's the same thing. Just because someone else is doing it doesn't make it right or safe or smart. So no, you can be charged. No, there's no exemption. Get my blood pressure down again. Have some more coffee. Oh, yeah. Hey, if you don't already follow us, please do. We do this every day, Monday to Friday, except this Friday when I'm taking a day off. So I shouldn't say always every. We do it most. Was the CN Tower built in your time? It was actually, I think I'm the same age as the CN Tower. What year was the CN Tower manufactured, built, constructed? 73? It's older than me by a bit, by a year. Was it completed in 73 or 74? Was it started in 73? I want to know. Okay. February 6th, what? 73 is when it was finished? Okay, interesting. Okay, well, that is older than me. All right. Is there a limit to how bright your lights are allowed to be? We talked about that earlier. Can my dog sit in the front passenger seat while I'm driving? So, yes, there's no law saying they can't be in the front passenger seat, especially if they don't interrupt with you or your ability to operate your motor vehicle. They can't be in your lap. They can't touch you or be involved with you because that would be distracted driving. Not distracted driving laws. Forgive me. Distracted driving laws cover specifically handheld communication, handheld entertainment, and screens visible to the driver. But it would be distracted driving or drive while crowded if your dog was in your lap or you were interfering with your dog or dog was interfering with your ability to drive. Okay. Is it safe for your dog to be in the front seat? We would suggest back seat, crated, or at very least tethered, wherever they are tethered. And the reason being is airbags can really hurt them. Yeah, so tethering I would suggest for all animals within a vehicle, keeping them in the seating position that they should be in the event of a collision. Okay, what is this? Big Jeff Fresh says, if you want to change from lane 1 to lane 3, can you do it in one full motion as long as it's safe, or do you have to change lane to 2 and then wait, then proceed to 3? I'm going to say that you have 2 separate lane changes, and you have to facilitate and ensure that it's not one movement, but that you're changing it. Whether it's what you have to be able to do is articulate that you made the sufficient safety checks to make that entire move possible and safe. Whether you have a distinct pause between, I don't think it really changes anything. But you have to signal your intention. You make sure that it's safe to do so. And as long as you didn't do anything and interfere with anybody else, I think you're okay. I say that, but I really think we should talk to the safe driver and get the driving instructor's perspective. Safe driver, who is a podcaster, a YouTuber, a TikToker, and driving instructor, he's a guy. You can go check his stuff out on TikTok, the Safe Driver. He's also a blogger. You can get him there, Safe Driver. Check him out. He's a good guy. All right. Can my wife drive with G1 if I am the passenger seat and I have a G license? Let me reread that. Can my wife drive with a G1 if I am in the passenger seat and I have a G license? Okay, that's generally how it works. G1s must be supervised by a qualified G driver. What does that mean? Qualified G. You have to have 4 years experience, and your experience clock starts when you get your G2. So you have a G2 for 2 years and 2 years with your G, total of 4 years. You have the 4 dots vertically oriented to the left of your mini-me photo in the bottom right-hand corner of your driver's license, the little mini picture in the bottom right. Then you're approved. You're qualified. If you don't have those 4 dots, you're not approved. If you need a new license, go talk to them and make sure you're approved. Because if you were suspended at any time, if you had any time that didn't count towards your 4 years, you are not a qualified driver. Both she and you can be charged in the event of her operating if you're not qualified. But there's more. You can only operate in the front. You have to be in the front passenger seat. You have to have less than a 0.05 BAC, blood alcohol content. And nobody else can be in the front seat with you. So if you have a pickup truck and there's only a bench, you can't put anybody in the front seat with you if the G1 driver is driving. Can we wear ear pod on one ear? So in Ontario, there's no law saying that you can only have one ear or both ears. So you can wear ear pods, ear headphones, you can wear these legally in Ontario. Is it safe? That's questionable. I think if you have hearing, you should utilize it to be safer. If I have headphones on, I don't even, it feels weird. Like I don't see as well when my ears are covered. Don't ask me, it's weird. It's psychological, I know, but I had earphones on. I was on a phone call. I had the what's it called? The noise canceling on, and I felt weird. I was backing out at a spot, and I had to take them off. Anyway, that's me. But if you are deaf, if you are hearing impaired, you can drive legally. There's no hearing test on a driver's license in Ontario. So you can, in fact, wear the headphones, both ear or one ear. Now in BC and in some provinces and some states say you can have one ear covered, but not both. It is what it is. You got to know the rules for the jurisdiction you're in. I just did a video on this recently. Got like 1.4 million views. People were losing their minds. It shouldn't be legal. Yeah, maybe they'll change it. What to do when pulled over in dark by undercover cop, not comfortable pulling over in dark alone. So if it's a police car, if you see flashing lights, I would argue that you don't know whether it's undercover or not, because in the dark, police lights look like police lights, and our undercover vehicles, or at least our plainclothes or our unmarked vehicles, look like police cars. It's lights, that's all you see. So pull over because you're required to by law, and you don't have to get out of the car, and you can question that person as to whether or not they are really a police officer if you so choose. If they're in uniform, chances are they are. If you want to see their badge, they'll show it to you. If you really don't believe it, you're welcome to call the non-emergency line or the emergency line, depending if you feel your life is in danger, and say, hey, I'm being pulled over and this is my location. Can you verify that it's a legitimate call? And guess what? Dispatch will tell you, because we're all GPS tracked. We all have radio, the ability to have radio communication. They know where we are when we stop because we put it on the board, so they're aware. You could even ask for a supervisor if you were really concerned. Another police car will come. But I would suggest that you do pull over, because failing to do so, could constitute a pursuit if you simply don't pull over. If you want to tell them that you would prefer to relocate to a well-lit area because you don't feel safe, let them know. They don't have to do that. They don't have to let you do that. But it's a possibility that they would accommodate you, because we're not unreasonable. Okay. Does your record completely clean after 3 years, meaning no one can ever see your fine? No. We can see everything since the day you were registered as a driver. Even if you had tickets from prior to being licensed, we can see it as a long-term MTO abstract. We can do a deep dive into your driving history. Insurance companies, private companies, they see the 3 years current, I believe, 3 or 4 years. That's all they see. That just depends on the access they're granted. So police see more than companies. You may apply for a job, and they may say requirement is an abstract. So to be a police officer, I had to go get my driver's abstract from day one as a driver and submit it as part of my application. So they saw everything, even though they could have anyway, but that was part of the requirement. Can I legally drive if I pass my G1 knowledge test? You can legally drive while we just talked about that. You can legally drive while supervised by a qualified G driver in the passenger seat. That is the requirement to drive. G1 is not a driver's license, it's a learner's permit, and you can only use it in Ontario. You can't go driving cross country with a G-class licensed driver supervising you. Like, it's only good here. Many people don't know that, but it would be bad if you were driving, because, yeah. What happens if you take the vehicle without consent? What if you take a vehicle, you borrow a car with a G1 license and you get caught? Well, if you're alone, you're looking at a ticket of G1 drive unaccompanied. That's $110. You get a 30-day license suspension on conviction. Additionally, you would get if you were doing it caught a second time, a 90-day license suspension the second time. If you did it a third time, you get kicked out of the graduated licensing program. And guess what? The person who lent you the vehicle can be charged under the Highway Traffic Act as well for permitting someone with a condition or for driving in contravention of that condition. Also, if you took it without consent, you're looking at criminal charges of take vehicle without consent. It's great wording. I love it. All right. So here's the tidbit about the CN Tower, courtesy of Q. Construction of the CN Tower took 40 months. Construction started in February of 1973 and opened to the public in June of 1976. It took 1,537 contractors working 24-hour days, 5 days a week to complete the project. Fascinating news and information. Brought to you by Q. Read by me. Can I pull a trailer without any lights during the daytime? They have to have functioning brake lights, actually, I think there's an exemption that if your brake lights of your vehicle aren't obstructed, then it would be okay. I think it also has a caveat about size, so that may be about blocking taillights. If you Google towing, in Ontario towing MTO, you're going to get more details. Now I want to go look it up, but there's something about if it's a small enough trailer that you don't block your taillights, I think you're okay. I would ask the person sitting next to me, but I don't want to put it under pressure. Okay, if I'm getting carjacked, here's an interesting question. If I'm getting carjacked and I run over the assailant, will I get charged? Yeah, probably, because there's going to be a lot of questions, and things may happen, that we wouldn't suggest driving over people. If you're concerned for your life, things might happen. But yeah, you could still get charged. I can't predict what would happen. Just that you could. Can you be fined for driving with 2 feet? As far as I know, it's not against the law to drive with 2 feet. It's not a good plan because pedal confusion and locking down on both could be very unhealthy. You might do bad things, but it's not illegal. Are we able to ride ATVs in the city of Toronto? Not at all, not one bit. No, zero, zilch, nada. Cannot do it. Prohibited vehicle. Do you rank up quicker if you make more traffic stops? No. You have to apply to become a sergeant, and there's no bonus, there's no toaster, there's no free vacation, nothing. It is about doing your job and working to make roads safer, but there's no promotion for getting more tickets. A lot of people think we have quotas. We don't have quotas. Can people come up and take pics with you? I took pictures like all weekend at at Honda Indy. It was pretty wild. Hey, I know you from TikTok. You're that guy from TikTok. Can I take a photo with you? I said, absolutely. And I got tagged in some, not all. I haven't seen all of them. But yeah, in fact, before I did TikTok, people often want to take pictures with police officers when they're traveling. It's a thing. So yeah, now can you come to the front door and ask for a photo with me? Chances are I'm not going to be available to come down and take a photo. But if I'm at an event or if you catch me on the street, just approach and ask, no problem. If you do vandalism and get caught, can you go to jail? Vandalism? I suppose it depends. More often than not, minor vandalism charges probably won't wind you up in jail, but anything's possible. I think that's going to be under. I wonder where that falls under. I've never laid the charge of vandalism. I think it's going to be a summary conviction, and chances are you're going to have some other kind of outlook. But is it a possibility? Let's have a look. Oh, wait, I have a question. It came in from Volley, and I ignored it. Is an electric scooter or skateboard allowed on the sidewalk? The answer is no. In Toronto, you cannot have an electric scooter. Well, first of all, electric kick scooters are prohibited in the city of Toronto. You can't have them anywhere. And if you're talking about skateboards, well, skateboards are not permitted. We're talking electric ones. They're not prohibited. They're not permitted anywhere either. Those are motor vehicles. They cannot be used anywhere in the city of Toronto, period, sidewalk or otherwise. E-bikes are prohibited from being on the road, or on the sidewalk, I should say. So it's an all-round, no, you can't be on the sidewalk. In fact, the only bicycle or wheeled device that can be on there, well, there's more. There's bicycles operated by persons under the age of 14, and there are mobility devices. So if you had a mobility scooter, not an e-kick scooter or an e-bike, but a mobility scooter, then you could use it on the sidewalk because you're effectively a pedestrian at that point. Now, technically, electric wheelchairs are the only, or wheelchairs or electric wheelchairs are the only things that classify you truly as a pedestrian, but for the purposes of a collision, you'd be considered a pedestrian in a mobility device. Okay. Is anyone allowed to drive on UK license there? So foreign licenses are accepted here if you're visiting. If you become a resident, you have to apply to Ontario for an Ontario license within 60 days. So yeah, there's a thing. If you continue to drive on a foreign license, beyond that, it will not be accepted if you're a resident. If you're truly a visitor, you have up to 6 months, I believe. 6 months? Over a certain period, you need to get an international driving permit that is issued by your home country. So you have to do it in advance, knowing how long you're going to be here. Okay. While you are getting your damaged plates replaced, what should be in place in the meantime? You go and get plates. They give them to you. They hand them to you over the counter instantly. You get plates. If you're ordering vanity plates, those are being replaced. Get regular plates in the meantime. You have to have plates on your vehicle, and they should be plates that are legible. Otherwise, you get a ticket. 60 days for a foreign license. Oh, it's beyond 60 days before you have to get a international license? Interesting. Okay. Q Gouldy-gooed it and says 60 days. I was under the impression it was longer than that. I thought it was 90 or more days. But apparently there is stuff on the internet that has this information available to you. Okay. Are there any volunteering opportunities for high school students, Peel in Toronto Police? So, it is 90 days. International DL is less than 90 days. No, international foreign license is less than 90 days. An international permit is for beyond 90 days because you can drive beyond that if you're visiting. But once you're a resident, 2 months. Okay. We got some broken information here because it's in multiple messages, but I'm decoding. It's a lot of different dates, a lot of numbers, a lot of goo. No, it's not a problem. Don't apologize. I got messages streaming here from Twitch. Okay. Now I'm getting emoticons. Emoticons? No, Decepticons. I prefer Autobots. Okay. It was Autobots, right? Yeah. All right. Volunteering opportunities. So we have a Yippee program. Most police services have a Yippee program. There are also adult volunteer programs. There are different requirements for becoming members of those programs. Check them out. Talk to our employment unit. Co-op students is another thing. There are youth consultative committees. There's a bunch of things. Talk to our employment unit. Is it illegal to switch lanes in an intersection? It is not illegal. It is incredibly risky, because cars expect you to do certain things. So, and if you were to not do that and change lanes mid-turn or mid-intersection, you may cause a collision, and you can be charged for that. Now, obviously, if someone turns and you meet in the middle, you're both going to be responsible to some degree. You may both be charged. I would avoid it unless absolutely necessary. What seatbelt-related charges are there and the differences? Well, there's wearing one properly, not wearing one. I can't think of any other offhand, but essentially, don't drive without a seatbelt because it can save your life, or that's what they're designed for. It's probably the number one device for keeping you in a vehicle in a collision to make you less dead. Yeah, wear a seatbelt. There's a whole bunch of things related to seatbelts. Like you can't take your OEM seatbelt out. There's a bunch of things, but let me know where you're going with this because I don't want to talk about seatbelts for 10 minutes. Can I muffler delete? No, mufflers are required equipment in the province of Ontario. Delete your muffler, you're going to get a ticket for no muffler or improper muffler and unnecessary noise. So you're going to get a bunch of tickets. Can Ontario police make routine traffic stop in Quebec? No, because we're Ontario police and we work in Ontario and we're sworn officers in Ontario. In Quebec, unless we were also sworn for special projects, we wouldn't be working in the capacity of a police officer while in Quebec. So, no. But we might be on a project there where we would be given special powers, but we'd probably be in a police car from Quebec. I don't know. I'm trying to stretch it. I don't know why we would be there, but no. Okay. Maybe if we were chasing someone from Ontario across the border, maybe that's not routine though. Never mind. Okay, moving on. Oh, well, thank you very much. Canderosor? I don't know what your username is, but I appreciate you. They sent a message saying, thank you for your current and continued service to the community. It's my pleasure. Really, it is. I love this. I love that we have the opportunity to reach out and connect with everyone and answer your questions because I know how difficult it's been to be not as connected to us as we used to be. We used to be at all sorts of events. We used to be at community events, barbecues, stuff and things that allowed us to get to know everybody. And a lot of that has changed over the last 2 years. So this, what we're doing here online, has given you access that you didn't have before, and I think it's really positive. So I hope you think so too. And if you don't already follow us so we can continue the conversation because we're going to be back tomorrow at 9:30. Why 9:30? Well, it's the extra large edition as we join Jerry Agar on News Talk 1010 for 30 minutes in the morning before our regular live. So I don't want to take away from you time. We are going to be able to do our 30 minutes with Jerry and his audience and some from you. If you actually, specifically, if you go to trafficcop.ca, your questions will be ones that I use on the radio segment. And then, of course, we'll go on to 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock answering traffic and police questions right to 11. Now, it's 11:01. So what does that mean? I want to find some more questions, and I'll go over time by a couple minutes. Am I allowed to be on a call while driving, but the phone is on speaker? Yes, you're permitted to be on a telephone call. You're not permitted to be holding the phone at all. So if you're doing, I'm on speakerphone mode, this does not qualify. I cannot tell you how many people believe this is hands-free. Hands-free mode does not mean hands-free. Hands-free mode means it's on speaker. And if it's in your hand, you're going to get a ticket. Beyond me how people think that's hands-free. All right. Okay, moving on. I'm applying for the police and have the Chiefs panel interview in the coming weeks. Any tips? I'm assuming you're not with Toronto because I don't think there's a Chiefs panel interview in our process anymore, or I don't think it's ever been part of our process. Be yourself. Be honest. Make sure you prepare and know lots of stuff about the police service because be you. I'm sure you're pretty cool. Just be you. And if you're faking it, everyone sees faking. It's amazing. It's hard to put on a fake image of yourself and sell it. It doesn't come off as authentic. Being authentic, it's a big thing. So be you. Is there a doctor's exception to having darker tint? Not in Ontario. Some places may have it. Ontario is not one of them. You may not have illegal tint, regardless of any medical reason. You can, however, wear sunglasses. You can wear clothing that protects you from UV rays. In fact, clear coating is available for windows that prevent or block majority, if not all, UV rays. The stuff that actually causes most of the issues. Dark isn't the issue. If it's dark, just wear sunglasses. And people say, well, sunglasses are expensive, but they're safer and you can take them off when it gets dark. One of the biggest issues with tint, even when it's legal, is A, it obscures the ability for people, police and public, to see inside your vehicle, and also prevents people from having that nonverbal communication, when they want to make sure that you see them. Yeah. No exception. Okay, here we go. Roundabouts are common now. Rarely anyone knows how to signal properly. Can you please educate folks? Yeah. We talked to this with Scott Marshall a lot. He's the safe driver. I miss him. I got to talk to him soon. We've texted, but we haven't spoken. My buddy. Okay, so what are we talking about? We're talking about how to deal with a roundabout. And the reason I talk about Scott Marshall is because we talked about it with him on one of our previous episodes. So the deal is this. When you are entering a roundabout, you need not signal your entry into a roundabout. Once you're in the roundabout and want to exit the roundabout, exit suggests you're doing something. You're turning. You must signal that movement. You must tell people you're exiting. Otherwise, you should just keep going around. It could take a long time. When can the kids sit in the front seat? I know recommendation is 14. What is the legal age? There is no seating position regulated under the HTA. Now, there are suggestions and requirements for different child seat restraints systems, safety restraints that say back seat, rear facing, all that. We won't give you a ticket if it's in the front seat versus the back. However, children must be in a child safety restraint of the appropriate making until they're at the appropriate age. Now, when we talk about sitting in the front seat, but out of a car seat, when can they get out of a car seat? Okay, that's where I'm going with this. When can children get out of a car seat or child safety restraint? When they are 8 years old, 80 pounds, or 4'9". That is any one of those three, 8 years old, 80 pounds, or 4'9", to legally be permitted to be outside. It may not be the safest time. So just because they qualify to be out doesn't mean they should be out. My daughter, when she gets to be of appropriate age, weight, or height, she'll be in the child booster seat until it's absolutely safe for her to be out of it. And at that point, she could be in the front seat or the back seat legally. Won't matter. Devlin from Twitch says, if my plates are worn out, do I have to pay for new ones or are they replaced for free? Valid question. You have to pay for them. Worn out, care and maintenance of those is on you. If they're illegible, you get to buy new ones. Yes, they belong to the ministry, and yes, I know that doesn't make sense to everybody, but you are responsible to replace them. It's not free. If they're defective, however, defective plates is different. If your plates are defective and under warranty, which is, I believe, 5 years from their issuance, then they would be covered for free. So if they fail or peel within the 5 years, they should be covered, as long as you're not doing something to break them. Question from... What can I do if I find out buyer hasn't changed ownership after 6 days are up? I would start off by contacting the ministry. We covered this kind of earlier. Maybe this is just a residual from that original question. Contact the Ministry of Transportation. There's a process I believe you can get involved with. Okay. Is there any laws against having a cracked windshield obscure driver view? You can't obscure the driver view. Having that, it's unsafe. You need to have a proper windshield. But I believe the charge that is most appropriate would be obscuring the driver's view. It has been an amazing hour that has gone by very quickly, and I went a few minutes over because I love y'all. But it is time for me to go off and do other things. I have guests coming into the studio this afternoon, and I must prepare because we are filming some content for you. What else can I tell you? Well, we'll be back tomorrow, 9:30, and starting it off right with Jerry Agar on News Talk 1010, and then moving into an hour of Q&A with you. So we're going to be here for a long, long time. Other than that, I hope you have a safe day. If you're going to drive to and I'm going to go create some content for you right now. That's the plan. There's still more music, so I'll keep yapping. What else can I tell you about? Raffle tickets, trafficcop.ca. Trafficcop.ca to get your questions in early for tomorrow. That's going to take you to Volley, where we have a community where you can just talk about stuff and things. Traffic Jam is our podcast, TPS Traffic Jam. You can get that podcast anywhere where podcasts are available. Use your favorite app. I like Apple Podcasts because they're cool. But it's hosted on Anchor, and if you go to our Anchor page, you can find us. Just Google it. Google it. Ash Bula says, thank you, sir. Well, you're most welcome. Saying bye to TikTok. There's our countdown.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2,
Follow us,
1,
follow us, follow us.
0.